Commissioner Lemon,
Here.
Commissioner Gregg,
Here.
and we have Commissioner Spedia and Commissioner Shea are absent, and Mayor Donches.
Here.
We have all our
And
liaison.
Alderman Dowd is here.
We also have Director Cummings also on Zoom, who is with us.
All right, we first have a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the agenda.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3, the minutes from the last meeting. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of November 21st, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we have public comment. Is there any member of the public who wants to speak to the Board of Public Works regarding the agenda or anything on it? We do have Andrew Moran and Regenerative Roots to speak a little later, so we've got you on the agenda. All right, no public comment. We have the presentation by Director Cummings regarding the garage plan. And so why don't we go ahead with that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative
Your,
Services. And
your
first, I
sound is not very
apologize for
good.
not being physically present with you this
Can you hear
afternoon.
us?
My son had a doctor's appointment, and I couldn't do the travel time back and forth
Stop. Can't hear you.
to make it.
Can you see us?
Yeah.
Aye.
Is your sound all
We
the way
can't
up?
hear you. Can you hear us? You can't hear us either. so-
So there's,
Is volume working?
Can you hear me?
Better.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Jeff, no.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Does that do anything?
Can you hear me?
oh, that's much better.
Yeah, use your outdoor voice.
Try now.
Try it now. Say hi.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
better.
Okay. So again, for the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services. First, I just wanted to apologize for not being with you physically. My son had a doctor's medical appointment earlier today, and I couldn't make the travel time back and forth. So that is why I am participating remotely this afternoon. So I'm here to ask for your favorable approval of the DPW garage plan, which I believe you should have received a copy of. This is just a housekeeping item, if you will. It's pro forma. It's required by our charter. And so in section 60 of the general duties and powers of the Board of Public Works, prior to starting a project, we need to put together a project plan. And I want to just be clear that this is not a design. Later on, once we start the project itself, there will be an approval process for the design that needs to be made by the Board of Public Works separately before it's laid before the joint body. And so I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the process that we have here in the city of Nashua for building projects. I am happy to go into more detail on that if need be, but essentially, depending on the project, there's a time where a joint body needs to be convened. It's referred to in our charter as the Buildings and Grounds Committee. We now refer to that as the Committee on Infrastructure of the Board of Aldermen. And in this case, it would be the Board of Public Works. They need to come together to approve the design and manage the building project once it gets underway. We have been working feverishly to try to put the DPW garage project in a position where we can move that forward, following the guidance that was provided this summer relative to developing a 5-year plan for our debt and capital expenditures. Believe it or not, even if we weren't to start construction for a couple of years, we would need to start the project now to maintain that schedule. So I'm hoping to convene a joint meeting of the Infrastructure and Board of Public Works Committee I have suggested a tentative date of January 8th. I'm not sure if that will work or not, but that's something that I would like to do. And to be able to do that, I would like to have this plan to place in front of them. So, and this plan basically describes the project at a very high level. It gives an orientation and some design guidance as to what we would be looking to try to achieve. And then ultimately, we would start the design process once we put an architect under contract. And so we would be looking to put the consulting team together again in January, where we would have an owner's project manager, we would have a construction manager, and we would have the lead designer all on board with the goal of trying to start design this winter, carrying on through the spring, to try to get to what we call 30% design, or DD. So we want to get to DD by June or July of this year, and then ultimately try to get full design by November, December of again next year, 2025, with the hopeful goal of starting the construction project sometime in the spring or summer of 26. Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if you'd like me to go through in detail relative to the plan itself as it's described. I'd be happy to do that. I believe everyone received a copy of it in their packet. So I don't know what the pleasure of the board may be, but it essentially is a consolidated DPW garage, storage facility, and a fleet service bays for the DPW. This would be our phase 2 of the project, as you all are sitting in phase 1. That was a 25,000 square foot administrative office building. And so now we would just be looking to conclude the project by starting this phase 2.
All right, do either of our commissioners present have any questions or comments that we should make about this? Alderman Dow.
Yeah, I can tell you the 8th isn't going to work. We have 2 meetings, Board of Aldermen, on the 7th and the 8th. And I think the 8th is infrastructure for downtown barriers, so I don't think we want a 4 or 5 hour meeting, so I don't think that date's gonna work. And I may have them mixed up, but the other meeting is to go over the multiple items in that one resolution. So the 2 meetings are gonna be pretty extensive.
Understood. Yep, we can look for another date. I'll work with Donna Graham on that.
All right, any questions about the plan? Well, if there aren't, is there a motion from Commissioner Gregg to approve the plan?
Yes, I motion to approve the Public Works Garage Plan.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now have the referral from the Board of Aldermen. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to, do we endorse it, or do we approve it?
We recommend, I think we
Recommend it.
recommend it.
I move to recommend ordinance O-24-043 in regard to updating field fees.
Do you want an explanation for what
Yes,
that is?
please.
Yes, Ms.
Okay.
Byers.
So our field fees are very antiquated. They've been that way for decades. The ordinance currently reads $300 for a non-lighted field for the entire season. That's April through October, and $500 for a lighted field. So needless to say, everyone is coming from everywhere trying to use Nashua Fields. And we're growing our youth programs as well. So we have a big strain. What we need to do is, and the wear and tear is horrendous. So what we need to do is bring our fees more in line with the cities and towns around us, and that's what this request is for.
This request is just to update.
Yes.
Like, but not a recommendation in terms of what it's gonna end up being, just that we can in fact update them, or you can in fact update them?
No, well, the ordinance that's proposed to the Board of Aldermen does set forth the schedule of fees.
Specific.
Oh, right here,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I missed
Yep.
this, okay.
And so we would be
Going to an hourly.
recommending approval of that
Yeah.
new schedule.
On my copy, so it's currently, it was $40 for 2 hours, and now they want to go down to 25 for 2 hours?
We rarely use that $40 for 2-hour number. We
okay.
use the seasonal numbers probably 90% of the time, 95% of the time.
Okay.
Most groups that use our fields want them for weeks, if not months.
Okay, so and on this list, there's nothing per season,
Correct,
and that is because you're just going to multiply out that?
correct,
Okay, and we will get more money,
correct.
okay. And do you think this number is high enough?
Yeah,
We discussed that at length over several meetings. Honestly, most cities are a bit higher, but this is a big jump. So it's going to be, for some of these groups that use our fields, maybe 400 or 500 hours in a season, which is quite a bit. This is going to be a tremendous jump for that type of a
Okay.
group. So we didn't want to go too high to make it unattainable. We're also going to give them a year's notice before
Oh.
these prices are put into effect, to give them time to readjust their schedules.
Okay,
And I think that some of the teams have already, because some of the aldermen are involved with the teams, are already okay with the fees.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, any questions, comments?
Just-
Okay,
This is, it's a
Commissioner
little bit
Gregg.
of a comment. How much is it to rent the Greeley Park stage?
$375.
Is that a day, or what is that,
That's for the one-time use.
for the one-time use?
Yep.
Okay, so it could be any amount of hours?
Correct.
All right. Seems like it's a little out of line with,
Low.
no, it seems high, actually, because if it's a one-time use, I mean, they're,
We have to pay staff to come in and set it up in 3-hour blocks, right?
Okay.
So we have to have a team come in to set it up, and then maybe 4 or 5 hours later, then they have to come back and they have to get paid again to take it down.
okay,
It really just covers our cost, maybe barely.
okay, so it's really about the setup for those
Correct.
individuals using it?
Yep.
Okay,
I also think at the current time, we're looking at the cost of fixing the stage.
Yeah, it is very old at this point.
yeah, well, and, I mean, maintenance has to be kind of baked into it anyway, because the maintenance is baked into this, so I just know, I know that there have been some questions around, the rental fees for the stage for Greeley Park, because,
Oh, you mean the
Like-
band shell, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I was thinking more the portable stage, because we have a portable
Oh.
stage that we use, and then we have the band shell. But the band shell fees are also, I believe, $375.
It sounds about, yeah. it
And we will
sounds-
have staff there the entire event.
Hmm.
So if it's a 6-hour event, we have staff there for 6 hours.
Okay,
So it is costly to, they have to open up the box, get the electricity going, make sure that the garbage is picked up, that type. Bathrooms are open.
makes sense.
do people pay a fee to get married on the other side of Greeley Park?
If they use the gazebo, it's a $25 fee.
Wow,
Yeah.
I know where Lucy's getting married, whether,
I don't recall, but did they address the fee for the new band shell at, I can't even pronounce the name.
At
of
the River Park,
River Park, yeah.
not,
No.
we're not involved in that, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Anything else? We all good? Thank you.
all right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
I,
The motion passes. We now are going to the Navajo Park presentation, and Andrew is here.
Should I just talk right here?
Yeah, just go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Andrew Moran. I'm a lifelong Nashua resident, currently live at 191 West Hollis Street, also the executive director of the Regenerative Roots Association. We've been effectuating programming related to food security since 2017. Currently manage a healthy food pantry, community farm in Hudson, New Hampshire, and also plant community orchards each year. Have some information in the packet about our overall programming, but today I wanted to bring a potential opportunity before the board and just discuss such, and that would be the utilization of Navajo Park in Nashua, which is on the corner of Broad Street and Beaver Street, into community garden spaces. So we previously went before the board about 2 years ago to discuss this project. Had some experienced water infrastructure contractors come. They determined that the existing infrastructure was rotted out and unusable. So over the past year and a half, we've done some fundraising and we've been able to secure approximately $30,000 total that can be used for improvements towards utilizing the existing open field that hasn't been utilized in over a decade for community garden growing spaces similar to Greeley Park. So we envision kind of utilizing the processes that are already established at Greeley Park and just emulating those, and over the next couple of years building out the infrastructure and having 20 to 30 families utilize such. Idea really came from just going through a walk at Greeley Park and saw that the Greeley Park Community Gardens had been in consistent usage since 1919. That really struck me that this could be a legacy piece that not only provides local Nashua residents an avenue to grow healthy food, but also provides deeper social connections just by working together for a positive goal. So I guess overall we were looking for input from the board. Regenerative Roots is not looking to lease this land whatsoever. We're just looking for the city to ultimately take on the, I guess, long-term maintenance, but we're trying to act as kind of a facilitator or a mediator in the short term, both in regards to getting some funds for the needed improvements and then also utilizing our connections to get additional families that would be needed. Originally, I envisioned trying to get the water infrastructure done earlier this year and get families out in 2025. Feel as though that would be too ambitious and too pushed. So we would be envisioning doing a lot of the infrastructure improvements over the next year and having the first families pilot the project in 2026. Also feel this would give us a little bit additional time for public input, but we did do a Ward 1 meeting with Alderman GOV and received overwhelming positive support from the local community members that attended such at that time. So that's it. Didn't know if you had any questions, concerns, and if you did decide that this was a project that would be worthwhile for the Nashua community, I guess one of my questions would be how would we ultimately set up the transfer, since Regenerative Roots has the funds, but the city, I think, would be technically hiring the water infrastructure contractor. So I didn't know if that would be something that, I wasn't sure how that would be set up.
Well, we can figure that out.
If it was,
Yeah. But in terms of the plan itself, any questions or comments from the commissioners? All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Probably have an approval.
You want an approval? All right, is there a motion to approve the plan from Commissioner Lemon?
I just have one question. So if we approve this plan, are we bound to do this no matter what happens? Like if they get in there and they find out the cost of the water stuff is more than we expect?
I don't think so, because we're limited by the money we have.
Yeah, I mean, we would be limited to the budget that we currently have. I've recently checked with Four-Seer Contracting to see if he would still adhere to this contract, because it is approximately 2 years old. John told me that he would, but I do agree with you that when it comes to something substantial like this, it could be that we pay for the water infrastructure and the rest of the project doesn't come to fruition, and then you just have water infrastructure to the park, really. I think that would be the worst case and the best case is it actually comes to fruition.
Director
But
Photo.
I was just going to mention that perhaps the board could just recommend the use of Navajo Park as community gardens and not necessarily just the plan,
Yeah, I would motion
but
that,
the
that-
use of the use of the park is more what we need to
yeah.
approve.
I mean,
The motion is to approve the concept of using the park for community gardens. There is I think we appropriated money for this, to be matched by you. I think the idea was 25,000.
Yeah, it was 12,500, and then we secured approximately 17,500 from the USDA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's money in the budget, the 12.5 is somewhere in the budget, I think.
Yeah.
The 12.5 is in the community activity section of the budget,
I
I
think
believe.
that got paid to Regen last August in the Community Citizens Advisory Grant, if I
Oh.
remember correctly.
Okay,
So we have that 12.5, and then we have another already existing approved grant from the USDA for 17.5. That would be 25,000 for the water infrastructure, and then the additional 5,000 for any irrigation, and then secondly, if there was leftover money for a small community orchard.
okay. All right. Well, the motion now is to approve the concept of using Navajo Park for community gardens. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very
Guess we'll
much.
be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Randall.
All right, so we're now on wastewater. Sorry. Item A, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the user warrants as presented.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Lemon.
I motion to approve the purchase of the Trillium pumps from Westcor Associates of Rentham, Mass. in the total amount of $120,480. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater fund, WRF, account 81 capital.
Mr. Boucher?
Good evening, Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. We have two pumps at the wastewater facility that are currently used to pump thickened digestive sludge to our dewatering process. Over the years, these pumps have been great for us, minimal work that needs to be done to them. Currently, they're obsolete, this particular model, so we're pushing to get the newer version of this model, which is a more efficient pump. And we reached out to Trillium. To Westcor is the local distributor for these pumps, so we'd like to purchase those. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have item C, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the contract with Minuteman Security and Life Safety for Manchester, New Hampshire in an amount not to exceed $1,419,552 for construction of the fire alarm upgrades project. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater fund, wastewater activity fire alarm upgrades.
Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. We put out a bid to have the aged wastewater facility fire alarm system replaced. It's been giving us a lot of trouble, a lot of false alarms. This is to replace the entire system, to bring it up to code, to be addressable. The new system would be hooked into our fiber loop within the facility. We have roughly 16 buildings that would need fire protection, fire alarms, control panels, audible lights. We had the plans reviewed by the local fire department to make sure we're getting everything we need. The bids came in. Minuteman, we had their bid reviewed by Vertex, which was the engineering company we had working with us. And we'd like to use them to install the equipment.
All right, any questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Now we have item D, Commissioner Lemon.
I motion to approve a multi-year, 3-year, on-call engineering services contract with Wright Pierce of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, Fund wastewater. Account classification 53, professional services.
Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. It's important for us to have good relationships with engineering firms to be available to us in case we have any issues that we need the expertise from. We did put out a request for engineering services to see who's qualified. We reached out to a bunch of different engineering firms. We had 3 that submitted letters of interest. They also did presentations for us. We're looking for services, general engineering services with small projects around the facility. We also sometimes need help with process control if our process goes out of whack, and mechanical assistance as well. So we looked at these 3 engineering firms. We graded them. We came out that Wright Pierce was the most qualified among them. We worked with Wright Pierce in the past. We're currently working with Wright Pierce, so we feel that they have all the expertise we need in different areas. So we'd like to use them for general services over the next 3 years. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item E, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the rebuilding of bar screens from Huber Technology of Denver, Colorado, in an amount of $319,256.18. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, Fund wastewater activity 81 capital.
Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. So the bar screens are some of our largest pieces of equipment at the wastewater facility. This in particular is 2 bar screens that span 3 stories. It brings heavy material up to ground level, removes it out of the process so it doesn't damage equipment downstream. Annually, we have these adjusted, inspected by the outside company. In this recent visit from the outside company, he determined that all these wear parts, they're normal wear parts that wear over years, are due for replacement. It includes the chains and the sprockets and bearings on this, so it's just the general spare parts that need, well, not spare parts, but wear parts that need to be replaced. This also includes technical service, so they'll help us install the equipment and make sure everything is installed properly. Be happy to answer any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you.
very much. I'll run to the Parks Department. I think we have Tom. Are you here?
Cool.
Help us figure out what to do. Item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the purchase of equipment for a splash pad at Park Social from Water Play Solutions of Rochester, Mass. in the amount of $200,000 pursuant to Sourcewell contract number 010521-WTR. Funding will be through Fund Grant ARPA Activity American Rescue Plan Act.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Conant, Superintendent of the Parks Department. This is for the equipment for a splash pad at Park Social. Park Social right now is a park that's pretty underutilized, in my opinion. I think this would be a great addition to our park system, to the neighborhood. I don't really think in terms of operating costs, this is going to increase our operating costs, maintenance costs in the department very much. It's an in and out system. It's not going to be recirculating water. We've done that because it's going to reduce the case of Legionnaire's disease, which is an airborne disease when you get into water. It's very common in splash pads. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this if there are any.
May I just add to this before the commissioners ask questions? So this came about, we have a very generous donor who I don't want to disclose at this moment because I don't have the official letter from them, but that wants to donate $150,000 to this playground. And Park Social is a really important inner city park, and it's not serving the community very well. And so we would really like to upgrade this playground, add the splash pad, also add a suitable playground, because we really don't have that now. And this is really a walking park, and this, as the pools are important to the inner city, this could also play a significant role in providing some activities during the summer months for our inner city kids. So I wanted to add that. We also plan to add some CDBG money to this, so we should have a really great inner city park by the time this is completed. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, I'm excited about this, but I wanted to ask, because of my interest, what are the foundations now for the splash pads? Because I've had parents approach me like saying they're afraid to take their kid to a splash pad because if they slip and fall, they hit their head, it's bad. What is the surface?
It is going to be a concrete surface.
It is a concrete
So, and I
surface,
believe it'll
so-
be textured to make sure that it's not slippery.
Yeah.
But they are hard surfaces at the
Okay.
end of the day,
I
so,
figured it had to be, because otherwise water would just go through it.
yes,
Okay. But it's textured.
yes.
I remember the old ones were not textured.
We're not, yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Alderman Dow.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea for the splash pads, but recently concerns been brought up nationally about the taking care of the water that's used in the splash pad. So is there a filtration system for the water, and are you planning on budgeting so that you can check it on a regular basis?
So what I'm proposing is that we do an in and out system, which is essentially going to take in water from Pennachuck, and when it's done being used at the splash pad, it's going to go down to the wastewater treatment center. We're not going to do a recirculation system because it's far too costly to maintain the water, okay, to keep it at its state level. So that's why we're going that route.
That's great.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you.
So, by the way, I'm sure you keep a daily
I
check
do.
on Stellus. It's now grass again.
Very good. I love the color of the new synthetic field. I think the end zones really look good. I like the way it says Nashua. I think it pops. And they're moving quite along. They started the gluing process today. They've got the field entirely laid out. They just need to do the outer edges.
Yeah, yesterday they were doing the gluing, which was an issue because they have to get it done while the temperature's warm enough.
It is. They can't glue when the temperatures are under 20 degrees.
Right, so they've had a crew of about 12 to 25 people there when the days are warm enough, so they anticipate finishing on schedule and under budget, and the field, I don't know when they're going to add the rubberized pellets, whether they're going to do that in the spring or do it now,
I
but
think will be weather dependent. We'll see how quickly they get the glue done.
right now they're working on the perimeters of the field, and they laid the concrete for the new posts for the catching the footballs and other sport activities that I didn't realize had to be caught, but it's coming right along.
It is.
So
It's impressive.
we also want to have a meeting with you and Sean on to define the maintenance activities and the capital activities, so that everybody's in agreement on who does what and when and who pays for it, so there's no confusion going forward.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Did we approve the motion?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Okay. Next, we're doing solid waste. Item A, Commissioner Gray.
I move to approve a contract with Sanborn Head and Associates, Inc. to perform field observation, construction quality assurance, and related engineering activities to document the construction of the Phase 4, Stage 1 landfill in the amount not to exceed $441,500. Funding through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Bond Activity, Landfill Expansion Phase 4.
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. This is exactly what it states here. It's going to be engineering for the Phase 4 landfill construction, which is proposed to be started this coming spring. There's going to have to be an engineer on site all the time whenever we're doing any construction to satisfy DES requirements.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have an informational presentation or You want to do a presentation, discussion about this?
You
The
can,
belly-
sure.
The big belly compactor? Super duper garbage can?
Yeah, super duper. So this is obviously under solid waste because it's trash cans, but I sort of stuck the superintendent with this. This is something that Director Hannum and I actually have been working on. We currently have trash cans that are overflowing on Main Street. It's been a constant problem. There are some that are worse than others, but it creates an eyesore. It also has created some safety issues for our staff picking them up. There are needles and other things. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we have recycling and trash right now. They're always contaminated. They're all going in the landfill. The recycling has never made it to the recycling. So what we'd like to do is start with, these are not big belly compactors. These are just, this is artwork that you're looking at now. But the big belly compactors they will compact the trash, so they hold a lot more trash. There's also software that will indicate to us when they need to be picked up, so we'll know when they're full. And so it'll be really helpful and much safer for our staff to pick up and very clean. So the big belly compactors also allow us to put artwork on them. So Director Hannum actually is the one that came up with these two ideas based on the new branding initiative that she's working on. So I wanted to show the board and sort of get your thoughts on that. See what you think.
I think they look a lot nicer than what we currently have.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just not understanding the second one.
Yeah.
I get the Nashua part, but
Yeah.
why New Hampshire? New Hampshire?
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
Oh, I
spell
didn't
it
even, I
correctly.
didn't,
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was a design choice.
No,
I'm like,
no.
No.
okay.
yeah, the one on the left, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that really gets to Nashua history.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love the look back on all of it.
So, Lisa, how much did these hold? Or, I mean, do they, like, I go by, I throw in a bunch of stuff, does it get compacted right away?
Yes, well, no, it'll compact as needed.
Okay.
It'll
So
compact as needed.
it gets enough and then
It
it...
gets,
Okay,
correct.
and then somebody gets notified when it's close to full?
Yeah, so, there's an automatic notification, so you don't have to check it. You don't have to
Yeah.
check it all the time. Is it full or not? You via the internet, you learn, is it,
Well,
that
they'll have
it's,
an
that
app.
it needs to be empty.
So, yeah, so the superintendent and the foreman will have an app on their phone that will notify them when.
We
they
can
pick-
set the
pick up enough.
notification to be at 80% full, so that gives us a couple days to plan on, hey, we better get over there and empty it, so we
Yeah.
can schedule all of them
And I
at a
would
certain
think it
time.
would make for better feeling from the downtown merchants if they, you know, if...
And there's a handle, we should have probably had a picture of Big Belly, but we don't.
Yeah.
But it has a handle that you open and you put it in, so you don't see the trash either,
Oh,
which is nice.
yeah.
That's cool. Does it
It's
require,
not visible.
so how does it connect? Does it require, is it like, do we have public Wi-Fi for that? Is there
I don't know exactly how,
or do we have to set that up?
I
Or is
believe it was
satellite?
cellular, but, and it
cellular.
runs on like a 12-volt battery, like a car battery.
Okay,
And they said it'll run over a year and a half with just one battery, so.
okay.
so our thought was, and we'll come back to the board when we'd like to purchase them, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what we're looking at is, and I also wanted to get a sense of whether the board is okay with having just one container. So we would eliminate the recycling on Main Street.
Now, the reason for that is that each unit costs $10,000 ultimately.
Smart trash, yeah.
So with recycling, it's 20, but the reality is because the material that goes into the recycling bins downtown is so contaminated, it's never recycled. I mean, people think maybe they're recycling, but it's too dirty. It goes to the landfill. So why spend an extra, we're looking at 10 of them. So why spend another $100,000 for recycling containers that never get used?
Seems
Or
to make
that
sense
never,
to me.
that never produce actual recycling material. And we also, Maddie thinks this is, And also, I think it is true that nowhere really these downtown, in cities where it says that there's recycling, it's too dirty. No one's recycling this stuff.
No, you're correct, Mayor. I check.
You know, when
in
you've got
every community
food,
I go,
you've got
I've never
food,
seen
on the
clean recycling,
containers, and all, you cannot recycle that.
If there's anybody that could figure out the communications piece, it would be Maddie.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
once it's all compacted, how do they actually pick up and
There's
dump it in a truck?
there's a door in the back that opens, and you just pull out the can and.
They assume it gets pretty heavy, so can you do the automatic lift with your trucks?
We can set it up that way,
They
but
have-
they say most of the trash that comes from, like downtown, is going to be empty cans, paper and that type of stuff. So they're typically not overly heavy, like household trash,
So are they anchored or too heavy to
They're
someone
anchored
push
to the,
over?
they're
Yeah,
anchored to
they
the
are,
ground.
they're
That's good.
pretty substantial.
Yeah, they're substantial.
I mean, you can see them at various
Pull
places.
one out.
A lot of cities have them.
Yeah, you
Right.
could type in Big Belly Company.
Yeah, I tried.
Manchester has them right there, right downtown now, and
Yeah.
they're great. I mean, I've personally seen them.
Maybe, yeah, pull one up so we can.
Has Manchester given any data around like any efficiencies that we've been able to get, that you've been, they have?
They only have a few in Manchester right now, so it's like a pilot program for them, but they say it's been working out great. Just in manpower alone, they don't have to send someone down every day.
Okay.
Like typically, I send down a crew every day to empty the barrels, and they're still overflowing. So if this saves me 2 or 3 trips, that's fuel,
Yeah,
manpower,
there you go.
time.
Yep.
So
If they work out well, are you going to use them at the parks?
it's a possibility. We haven't discussed
Especially
that
like
yet. I mean,
Greeley?
It'd be great to have them everywhere just to help keep the city clean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sea products. Yeah, right there, yep.
So you really would just deploy on an as-needed basis? Like
Yes,
across the city?
as a Main Street, we do it on or try to do every street corner on Main Street. That way we could eliminate all the other barrels. And then if it continues to work out good, we'll try expanding out throughout the city.
I don't know, let's just pull up.
Yeah,
So you
right
can
there.
see, essentially, this is what they look
Yeah.
like.
Wow, okay.
Yep. So there's a lever here, so you don't
Yeah.
even have to, if you
It's
just
like a
want
book
to step on
return
it,
for the library.
you can, or you can pull this handle. And
Nobody throws books
so this is a plain one, obviously, this would be, we're thinking about wrapping it with some nice artwork. So maybe that-
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
I think it would be really nice if you worked with, well, I can't say the Telegraph because, but Inklink or somebody to explain why they're there and to stress
Yeah.
that
a good idea.
they're going to prevent the superintendent from having to send a waste truck out every week, every day. I think the citizens would get behind it better if they understood it.
I agree. I think this is going to be a topic that just is going
Yeah,
to spin on
somebody's gonna-
Facebook, and that was my
You
first
think what?
reaction. I think it's just going to be a topic that's going to spin
Yeah,
on
people are
like the
gonna say,
National
like,
Scoop, on
ridiculous
Facebook,
things.
on everything, and unfortunately, it's always going to be looked at as like, well, the city of Nashua just wants to spend, which is not fair.
Yeah.
It's never fair, but I think if we can somehow, and I'm glad we're talking about this in a public meeting, if we show the benefits, which clearly there are some, Manchester's looking to expand, and, they're just as, looking at the purse as we are. If actually Nashua does a better job, I think, but I think it's a really important thing to at least just communicate out to people
Well,
why.
and for anybody like me, I work downtown, I see there is no way to separate recyclables.
No.
I mean, there is food all over
a mess.
everything. Things get thrown on the sidewalk and then they get tossed into recycling. Like, that's not really going to work. So if we could just educate people and stress that this is to not only beautify the city, but to cut down on the waste stream and make things better for everyone. I mean, I think it's a win.
I think if you looked at it from a business case analysis,
Yeah.
sending trucks and drivers down when they don't really need to go,
Yeah.
that gets expensive fast.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then they're $5,000 a piece,
Half price.
The,
the big belly compactors.
oh, the big
Oh.
belly
Yeah.
gun. Oh, just went down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's 5. It would be, you're thinking of.
Oh, I feel much better.
10%.
I would have taken the 100,000 and
Yeah, okay.
put 20
I
of
think
them
that's
around.
the number you gave.
Will there be a sign on them, no liquids?
I mean, if you start doing that with the wraps, it could get a little confusing. I mean, you could put all kinds of signs all over them. it's just going to have to, I mean, we don't say no liquids in the barrels that are down there now, so it's going to
Right.
be a difficult thing to try to.
Yeah, when you start compressing with liquids in it, they're gonna go someplace.
But they are, the internals are waterproof?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It'd have to be.
All right. Any questions, comments further on that? Now we'll go to engineering. Item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the sewer service permits and fees as submitted.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Gregg.
I move to approve the poll license petition as listed in the staff report.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the award of the construction contract for Pine Street pedestrian crossing to Daigle Electrical Construction Corporation of Wilmington, Mass. in an amount not to exceed $223,223. Funding through Department 160 Engineering, Funds, Trust and Bond, Activity, Paving, Account Category 54, Property Services and Funds, Grants, ARPA, and CDBG.
Good afternoon, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So you may recall that we previously brought forward a design concept of this pedestrian crossing. This crossing is to make for a safer pedestrian crossing between, it's Clock Tower Place, basically, between the Clock Tower Place driveway, just north of that driveway, to Mine Falls Park. So providing a safe way to cross Pine Street. The design includes a raised refuge island, as well as ADA ramps and rectangular rapid flashing beacons so that people can make that mid-block crossing safely. So we bid the project out, we received 2 bids. We're recommending award to Daigle Electrical Construction Corporation for the amount as specified. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Anybody? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, Commissioner Gregg.
A motion to consider the hardship request from Thrive Realty Investments LLC of Nashua, New Hampshire to excavate in Perry Avenue to install utility services and curbing.
I'll just turn it over, again, Dan Hudson, I'll just turn it over to the folks from Thrive to speak to their request.
So please just come on up to the table. Just introduce yourself and maybe give us your address, at least your business address.
My name is Johnny Da Silva. I'm with Tribe Realty Investments. We're located at 155 Main Street. Main Dunstable Road, sorry. And we recently purchased this lot with the intention to build a brand new single-family house. And we went through the paperwork. We have all the architectural plans, the structural plans, and we start the building permit application. And I guess we overlooked one detail, which is a momentary restriction on the road that has been recently paved. So in order for us to get services to the house, we need gas connection, water connection, waste connection, not electrical, but the tree will have to cut the street. So the reason that I'm here is to ask for a waiver so we can continue on with the construction.
And when was the street paved?
Unfortunately, the street was paved in June of this year, 2024. And as that applicant or requester noted, this had gone through a subdivision process at the city, and subdivision was approved, and I don't think it was the applicant that brought that through subdivision, so he may have been unaware about the moratorium requirement at the time he bought the property, but it did go through the subdivision process, and that the moratorium was noted at that time. So it is a fairly low-traveled roadway, it's kind of not a lot of, it's not a heavily traveled roadway, But anyway, that's the situation that brings us here.
I was going to ask, where is Perry Street?
I was looking up.
Perry is, it's off Ledge Street to the right as you're going west towards the school. It's kind of a diagonal, well, Grand Ave is directly off
Oh,
Ledge,
okay.
and then Perry is off that.
Okay.
It goes up to like the Boys and Girls
Girls
Club.
Club? Okay.
Any questions, discussion?
How much estimated, like, square footage do we think is going to be disrupted by the work? Any idea?
Just guessing, I mean, they got to go 20 feet beyond the patch in each direction, so it's probably like 40 feet of milling by, however wide the road is, probably 24, so 40 by 24. That's the final restoration. Of course, the requirement is to mill curb to curb, 20 feet beyond. So quick calc, that's about 1,000 square feet of
Wow.
disturbance, or I guess, final restoration with the milling.
What do we typically, I mean, I haven't been on this board enough to, with something this freshly paved, is there like a typical precedence, or do we just take it case by case? Or do we normally,
I'd say we take it case by case.
okay.
They had an issue on Manchester, Concord Street. They did a good job of fixing that. Remember on the housing? I think it was a gas line. That came out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, these situations are unfortunate. I mean, before we pave, we do notify all the owners of properties along the street, and so those people that own at that time are notified. The moratorium restoration requirements do have those conditions for, basically, to make the best repair that can be made in terms of milling and over, so there's no joints all the way through the pavement, and everything gets overlaid to try to seal it back up. But obviously, any digging in a street is potentially impactful. So yeah, it's, with something this fresh, it is unfortunate. But to develop this newly subdivided parcel, they do need to tie in sewer, gas, and water services. So it's unavoidable. The only thing to do would be to have them wait till the end of the moratorium in another 3.5 years or so. So I think the board has always looked at this as a benefit versus a cost or impact sort of a thing, and that's just a judgment call that's made on an individual basis.
Yeah, I see the avenue, I see the road, and it's kind of like curved onto Grand Ave. So it just seems like there's houses on there, but there's entrance and exits on both sides, and not necessarily a road more traveled, it's just, it's almost a side street.
It is a side street,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, discussion? The motion's been made, right? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We're now to administration, and we're going to hear the director's report.
One thing before I start that I wanted to mention to you is we received some very sad news this week. On Tuesday, we lost an employee at the wastewater treatment plant. Not while he was working, but he had been at the plant working that morning and left for an appointment, and we received news that he had passed. So his name is Doug Starr, and he was our environmental permits coordinator. He had worked for the wastewater treatment plant since 2019. So he was a great guy, and we were very saddened by that news, and our hearts go out to his family, so his wife and his 2 sons. I did want to mention that. Okay, this is granite seating in Renaissance Park. That's shown under construction by Moore Landscaping. It's coming along if you haven't been down there to see it. This is RWC installing drainage pipe on Brook Road. and paving around a new catch basin on Foxborough Street. Late October and late November. Continental Paving is shown installing drainage on DW Highway on November 19th. There was a great turnout as usual for the holiday stroll. The parks-
24,000,
Incredible.
which is what Pacer AI got.
And the Parks Department did a great job decorating downtown in preparation for the event. Santa was even able to light the tree with no glitch.
Yes. A miracle. A Christmas miracle.
This is the Parks Department fixing non-working light at Four Corners in preparation for our skating season. Hopefully we'll have a good skating season this year. The weather will hold out. Our annual Santa in the Park took place on Saturday, December 7th. This is a free event for kids to meet Santa and get a present. And
Kudos to
there were-
everybody who was there. That was a very cold day.
It was a very cold day. In fact, we discussed potentially moving it indoors next year because of that. But we had about 200 kids that braved the cold and parents, so it was a great event. It always is a great event. Our holiday trip to New York City took place on December 14th. We had great weather for that. And our Celtics trip was sold out, and they're heading their way right now to hopefully enjoy a winning game. This is the Southern New Hampshire Tour of Lights program that we participate in. There are 97 homes across 15 communities to check out lights. And this is very small, you can't really see it here, but it is posted on our Nashua Recreation Facebook page, so you can see it there. So if you want to see some pretty lights.
I didn't hear
That wasn't planned. This is crews repairing a hazardous sidewalk at the crosswalk near St. Christopher's School. Our mechanics have been preparing for winter operations for the last few months, going through every piece of equipment we have and making sure they're ready for the snow season. We have a new backhoe for use in the park department, and this is used to maintain parks and trails throughout the city. And it also is equipped with a plow, so we use it for snow clearing operations as well. Solid waste will be closed on Wednesday, December 25th, of course, for the observance of Christmas, and Wednesday, January 1st for the observance of New Year's, and both weeks, trash will be delayed by 1 day. And the excess holiday trash will be picked up December 26th through December 31st. And it will only be during this time only, so residents can put out trash next to their toters, but it will only be through the 26th through the 31st. After that, all trash must be as usual in the toters. We also want to remind residents that they certainly can bring in excess trash to the landfill with a $5 permit fee.
Free for seniors.
Yes. And we'll also be picking up trees January 6th through the 17th. So if you put your tree out curbside, we will be around to pick them up. And we ask, though, that all decorations, tinsel, decorations, everything be removed. And please, if don't put them on a snow bank or in a snow bank so we can't get them. And then we will also be closed on Monday, January 20th in observance of Martin Luther King Day, and trash will be delayed by 1 day that week as well. That's it. Any questions?
Anything from the commissioners?
Commissioner comments?
All right, so we will go, Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, just a couple things. The one thing at Stellus that's still hanging out there that I think we need to resolve is the field has an 8-year warranty for one high school. Of course, we use it a lot more than that. So we still need to revise that contract. You and I talked about having a meeting about Bishop Burton. Because
Yes.
that contract's null and void.
Oh, now, but that's contractors with the school department, right?
Correct.
Yes, but it has to go through legal, and it didn't the last time. So our attorneys are not happy. So that's something that somebody needs to make a decision on. And so I think that our attorneys need to be involved in any contract that gets signed. The other thing is, the warranty says that if you put a chair, with, you know, four-leg chair on the field, voids the warranty. And they're still thinking of having graduation there. Now, as you know, there's huge opposition to paying $400,000 for a field cover that gets used once a year. They have a slight alternative, that putting things under the chairs, but I don't know how they're gonna pay for that, because it can't be paid out of the project after all those meetings we had. It said nothing, can't fund it out of the budget we have. So that's really not the joint school building committee's issue. It's something that has to be worked out with the superintendent or the Board of Ed. The other thing is as you may or may not know, the city now has a mounted detail. The police department has horses. And there was some concern about, they want to use them in Mines Falls. And we had a certain alderman that had a concern that their horses are prohibited. I said, well, who's going to arrest them if they go in? But we're.
Wait, are they prohibited by what? Is there some kind of?
Ordinance or,
There might be an ordinance.
yeah.
Of course,
So-
that could be amended.
Hmm?
That could be amended.
Oh, I already have Steve Bolton working on it.
All right, good.
Actually, I think Attorney Leonard's going to work on it, since she's more familiar with horses. But I just wanted to mention it because they will be using them in parks as necessary, but particularly Mines Falls and perhaps even Greeley. And by the way, for the public, the horses aren't costing the city anything. It's being funded by a nonprofit. That's it. Stoll Stadium's coming right along, and it'll be great for the fall, spring, rather.
All right, any other commissioner comments? Do we have a motion to go to a non-public session?
We have some personnel to do.
Oh, we have the personnel items first? Okay, personnel, sorry. I was thinking those were non-public, but no, they're not. So there is item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve and unseal the non-public minutes for personnel from the Board of Public Works meeting of November 21st, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Gregg.
I move to accept the resignation of Daryl Johnson.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to accept the resignation of Joseph Chrisman.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Item D, Commissioner Gregg.
I move to accept the retirement of William J. Toomey, Engineering Inspector, effective January 3rd, 2025.
Now, Mr. Toomey has worked for the department for a long, long time.
Yes, he has. He has.
I don't know how long, but decades. So I just appreciate his service to the city. He's always very friendly and a good face for our community, so it's too bad he's leaving, but I certainly wish him well on his retirement. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion passes. Commissioner Lemon.
Pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session.
All right, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Lemon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. So we're going to go into non-public session briefly, and we'll come out to adjourn the meeting.
Are we ready?
All right, we're in public session again. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, don't we have to seal this first?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry. Commissioner Lemon.
I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel non-public meeting of December 19th, 2024, until such time as a majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served.
All those in favor, oh, this is a roll call?
Roll call,
Yes,
yep.
roll call. Could you please call the
Commissioner
roll?
Lemon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. All right, so the motion passes. And now I believe a motion to adjourn is in order. Commissioner Gregg,
A motion to adjourn.
all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And the meeting of the Board of Public Works is adjourned at 5:12 PM.